broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
We dance when I'm in the lead chair, people. We dance. All right, I guess I'll settle for that. Hey, everybody. My name is Christy Olson, and this is the AFTERBUZZ TV Total Divas After Show. If you love Total Divas, you're in the right place. My name is Christy Olson, and I'm not alone at this table. Everybody, tell them who you are.
You don't know who I am? Is that like, because that's what I do all the time. I'm like, when I don't remember somebody's name and I'm with somebody, I'm like, oh, cool, I want to introduce you guys, you know? You guys can introduce yourselves.
Yeah, you're very forgettable. I can't even, is it, John?
That's Paulina Aguilar. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry.
You heard it right there.
all right, people. And where can they find you?
I'm George Hermoza at G Hermoza. By the way, my on-screen girlfriend is in here.
I know.
We are missing Kiori today.
We are missing Kaori. She is not feeling very well, so everybody, you can tweet your get well wishes to Miss Kaori.
George, you had to send her flowers.
I was going to say, that means I was going to say I need a different on-screen girlfriend.
Well, she's married, so I guess that leaves me.
Well, that's what I'm looking at you.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be one of those awkward evenings, people. And if you are joining us on SoundCloud or iTunes, we would really appreciate 5 stars. Leave your comments and let us know what you think about the show, about our show. We love to hear from you. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe at AfterBuzzTV.com. No, YouTube.com/AfterBuzzTV. And we also really appreciate, this is kind of my thing, I love those thumbs up down there at the bottom of the screen. So if you could just hit that for me, shouldn't they hit that thumbs up?
Us.
Come on. For all of us. We would love you. Tonight's episode was Good Diva, Bad Diva. Yes. Season 4, episode 6, and it was a good one. I was excited about this episode because, for kind of one reason only. When Trinity did do her heel turn and we saw it on TV, on Raw and SmackDown, my initial reaction was, we better see this all go down on Total Divas. I want to know where, when, why, how she got the news, how she dealt with it, and how she was feeling about it. So we got that tonight. What was your guys' overall thoughts about the episode?
My favorite part was the drink in the face. That's what I was waiting for, and I finally got it.
I hated this episode. We'll get into it.
Are you being awkward again?
No, I'm saying we'll get into it as it's just. I'm not a big fan of liars, I guess you can say. So just kind of that being the general theme in some ways of the episode. I know it was more Trinity and Natty. Just hearing Natty just lie for no reason. I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? That's your husband. You can't be lying to your. If you're going to be lying about the little things like that, then what's next?
Yeah, you know, it was the reckless abandonment with which she lied. I think that kind of stuck with me, and I didn't realize that she was that bad. We've seen her do a little bit of that other seasons, especially with TJ, but did you guys realize that she was that much of a little white liar?
Especially when they kind of reference past seasons.
Right.
Where it wasn't just kind of things set up for the episode. It was, well, remember that one time, a year ago? Oh, by the way, I was lying about that too. It's like, wow.
I feel like she's just uncomfortable with confrontation. She may not I don't think she's that kind of a person. But the lies that she was lying about, they're not white lies. I'm sorry, but lying about your sister moving in, living with them, that's not a white lie. Lying about money, that's not a white lie. A white lie is breaking the lion's head on purpose. That I would have kept to myself. The engagement ring, I would have kept to myself.
Right.
I mean, you're married. How does that work with your husband? Do you?
I thought that was terrible. Yeah. She totally unloaded there at the end, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But we did open with Mark Carrano, who I always love to see because that is when we get the kind of juicy WWE stuff, is when Carrano comes around and tells us what's really going on with these divas. Right? So he comes in and has a little bit of news for Miss Trinity and tells her that she is going to be turning tonight. And Paulina's initial reaction was...
What is turning?
Dun, dun, dun.
And
Great
the answer
question,
is
Paulina.
when you go from a bad guy to a good guy or vice versa.
Now she knows, and now you all know. That's why you watch us here, folks. So, what was your guys' reaction to this? Were you thinking, now I know, Paulina, you don't really follow the storylines,
right,
but you know Trinity as being a really good girl on the show. What did you think about this turn?
I think career-wise, it looks like a good opportunity that she was explaining on the show. I think it's hard. She's not an actress, so I think it's hard to go from one thing of who you are to something totally polar opposite. We did see her struggle with that, but I mean, I've never been in that kind of position, so I mean, it looked like she struggled with that a lot.
What's like the baddest thing you've done?
Ooh. We're gonna go there.
Have you ever thrown a drink in someone's face?
No. Oh, no. No, I have not. It takes a lot to get me really upset.
Have you ever been kicked out of a club?
Vegas.
Oh.
Vegas. But that was because I was really intoxicated, not due to a fight.
Okay.
Or an argument.
Okay, so if we were to ask you to pull out the bad girl, Paulina, would you have a hard time doing that? Or does the idea of like being a heel in front of a crowd and getting booed, does that sound exciting to you?
No, it doesn't. I like to be liked. I'm not mean. I'm not a bitch. I treat people with respect. You know, like I probably struggle just like bitch.
Oh. Well,
I would probably struggle just as bad like Trinity. I don't see myself as that kind of persona. So like I said, it takes a lot to get me upset and for me not to like you. So it just that's hard.
But you know, I was surprised that she had such a hard time with it because she does seem to have a little bit of sass, and we've already seen her pull it off. We've seen her do it, and she's getting better all the time. So I was kind of surprised that she was hesitant. I thought that she would embrace the fun of it, and even like when Nikki and Brie were telling her, "Hey, it's fun to play the bad girl."
Well, she did that after, right? After she did her match.
Also, when you've never done it before, too. I mean, going back, I think to 2011 when she first started with WWE. 2010, I think. Right around when her NXT season started. She's always been a good girl. She came in with the Funkadactyls with Brodus Clay. You know, she was dancing. Then even when her and Ariane / Cameron broke up, Cameron was a heel, bad girl. Trinity or Naomi was the face, good girl. And so this is kind of like anything new. I think it's always going to be a little bit scary. Mm-hmm. Now, if you tell her to go back to a good girl and then maybe go back to a bad girl again, it might be a little bit easier for her. But it's really her first time being that. And they said it best is that she is probably the most athletic girl on the roster right now. So
Agreed.
that kind of generates a lot of cheers because people enjoy athleticism. So in order to be a bad girl, you can't be doing that. And she said it, and I quote, that's her repertoire. Mm-hmm. So I think it was more so that, as well as the facial reactions and the attitude that just might have been a little overwhelming, especially from even, you might remember, it did kind of come out of nowhere. As far as the heel turn.
Yeah, this was day of.
Yeah.
While she's literally sitting in the makeup chair that she learned she has to do this.
So it wasn't even something that was planting the seeds. It was just literally, hey, by the way, you're turning up to a bad girl today. So I kind of see where she was coming from. It was new. So, and as we've seen along, you know, if this was 4 months ago, I think she's done a pretty good job at it so far.
So who do you like better, the bad girl or the good girl of?
I'm loving bad Trinity. Yeah, Naomi. Sorry.
As far as Trinity goes.
Well, okay.
Or just in general.
Trinity is the bad girl of Naomi.
Well, no, Trinity's just her real name.
Okay,
and Naomi's just her wrestling name.
Got it.
Yeah. I like her. I like bad Naomi.
Yeah, and seeing what it's turned into now.
Yes.
I definitely enjoy bad Naomi.
With Team Bad. Now she's got a whole team of bad girls, people. It's not just Trinity. Anyway, moving along, this Natty and TJ.
Oh my God.
All right, well, they're packing up and they're moving up. They're moving on up or on out or whatever. I mean, this is a nice house.
It
the
is.
new one that we see. Mm-hmm. So this is exciting for them. And a really funny little tidbit comes out that we don't expect in that we learn TJ never really properly proposed to Natty.
Really?
No.
How did he
according to his sister, he never really did. Now, I think the reason why they didn't push this is because the whole marriage and everything, I think, probably wouldn't have happened without them being on the show. If you remember, we saw their wedding. It was a huge, I think it was the finale of the first season. Don't quote me on that, I'm pretty sure. So it was major. And now we learn that he never even proposed. So I think it was just because of the show. It was like, hey, guys, why don't you get married on camera? And they were like, all right.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean,
Jenny has a problem with that.
I was reading Daniel Bryan's book too. Is that initially the way Daniel Bryan was going to propose, but essentially
we're talking about TJ.
No, but I'm saying like, it kind of goes back to the TJ and Natty thing where they were mentioning, well, if we can
Oh, because they got married on the show.
We'll pay for the wedding,
right?
If we can have it on Total Divas. So maybe that had a lot to do with maybe timing wise, as far as when TG and Eddie got married as well.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Well, either way, Jenny,
bring it back to bacon.
Bring it back to the bacon.
That's not a saying.
That's not a saying, George. That's not a saying. So Bree and Brian have some stuff going on as well, serious life things, and Brian has been injured again, and we learned that at this point he's 50-50. They don't really know what's going on.
What's his injury that he's struggling with right now?
George, why don't you explain this to our viewers?
So about a year ago, actually it dates back like a few years, just read his book, he just had a lot of like neck issues. So about a year ago, he was the main guy, the world champion. Then he ended up vacating because he had a lot of problems. He ended up working through that, or not working through it, but he ended up healing himself. He came back in January, and then in April he got taken off the road. Initially, a lot of people thought it was the same kind of injury, kind of creeping up back on him. But apparently, they haven't said it on Total Divas, but a lot of people are saying it's a concussion.
Oh, that's serious.
Turns out he has a lot of history with concussions, and the company just playing the safe side. Just, hey, we might. And essentially, one of the guys, if anybody ever watched the ESPN E60, one of the guys that they were featuring actually had to retire because of a history of concussion. So, again, we see the frustration in Brian wanting to wrestle again, but we also see the company side where we want, not selfishly and unselfishly, we don't want to be responsible. We also want everybody to be safe.
Right.
So that's their number one priority. So.
Right, and he is a judge on Tough Enough. He's now writing books. I mean, he can still be very valuable to them, even not in the ring. So they do want to keep him safe.
I was just about to say that. I was like, even though he can't be in the ring, there's still other opportunities that he can go ahead and involve himself in.
Right.
He was just on Monday Night Raw last night too. So there's still, but obviously his heart is actually wrestling in the ring.
Right.
So, but this was still kind of fairly new. Of course, this was taped back in April, I assume. So I'm sure they were still kind of. At that time, I'm sure they didn't think it was going to last till August, which we're in now, so who knows?
Right. Well, I got to say, I was really in the Nikki boat on this one. I'll maybe admit I'm a bit of a panicker warrior. Oh, yeah. I'm a huge overreactor. Yes. So, but I was thinking the whole time, why isn't Brie freaking out? Right?
She said some good points. She didn't want to worry Dan O'Brien, and I think in tough situations like that, everybody handles it their own way. Whether you got to be by yourself, or you're very quiet, or you're just like, oh my God, you know that friend that just you tell them every single time you say it. You hear it all the time. It just depends. I just think it just depends on who you are. I mean, it is a serious situation. I wouldn't want to freak out I wouldn't want to freak you out if you got hurt.
But I would like that you show that you care.
And you know what? And we don't know if she does it in private when they're at home and they have dinner and they're not filming. We don't know that. And I'm sure that she expresses enough to Brian to not freak him out.
Well, I want to know if, now that you guys are a couple, are you guys going to take up Brie and Brian's super annoying habit of, like, being very, like, we and us, and, like, whenever they talk about themselves, it's we or us.
Well, they're married.
Brian and I, we are married.
Absolutely.
But there's a threshold on the we and the us stuff, and it's just they cross the line to me. I think that all the time. I'm like, oh, they just always sound like they're just gushing over each other.
It's cute,
but if you two start it, I'm going to shut it down.
I'm not
Jealous
that type
much?
of person.
I mean...
We'll see how long this relationship's gonna last.
Oh, well,
Like
we have about 47 more minutes, so we shall see. Now, at this point, we see Trinity and Paige have a match, and I love when they show the matches on the show, and this was definitely a memorable one. This was the one where Trinity really made her turn.
It was a battle royal.
To everybody, yes, and she goes in at Paige, and Paige actually was already in London and just wanted a vacay for a couple of weeks while she was in her home country, so that's how they set this up, and they needed somebody to injure her and put her out.
Wasn't she off because of the movie? Remember she was filming a movie with The Miz, Santa's Little Helper?
Yeah.
I thought that's why she got run off.
Oh, I thought that was a different time. Well, either way, they needed someone to put her out of the in-ring action, and Trinity did a great job of that. So it was cool to see that match again. Moving on a little bit, now we get to the juicy drink throwing. Now, we have been talking about this for 6 episodes.
I thought
we saw it in the trailer, we see it in every preview, and now finally, Were you disappointed,
My favorite
Paulina?
part.
Did you love it?
No, I didn't. I would have been mad. Like, I understand the intentions of getting someone mad and pissed for their character.
Right.
And boy, Alicia did a good job on that. But at the end of the day, I mean, I know what you were trying to do, and you did get me to that point, but come on, it still ain't cool. I've never gotten a drink thrown in my face, nor have I ever thrown one in your face. But if you do, I will not be a happy person, okay? I would have flew over that table and been like, oh, hell no, this is not going to happen. So I thought she went a little too far. There are probably other ways to get someone at that point, and, you know, her husband did apologize, you know, for kind of pushing that a little bit. But I think there have been alternative ways. And I thought Fox was drunk. She was intoxicated, and she was laughing and having a good time, and...
Yeah, well, this was definitely it was under the guise of we're trying to help you, Trinity.
Right.
You know, so oh my God, how funny was it when she was trying to talk crap to the waiter? Listen, as someone who waited tables and did all that for like more than 10 years, I know Paulina, you do too.
I do.
When that's as mean as someone can be to the server, like I gotta appreciate that. I thought that was so cute. She just doesn't have it in her.
She couldn't.
That's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay, but. Foxy does bring it out. And now this is kind of the thing with Foxy. I love her. And I even chatting, I ran into her on the red carpet a few months ago, and we talked about the moment that we never saw from last season, where she threw Ariane's phone in the pool. Another thing that they showed over and over in previews, and then they ended up cutting it, and it was not in the episode. And I asked her about that. And she said, yeah, I think the producers just sort of thought, like, nah, that just makes that Foxy girl look a little bit too crazy. It's a little bit too much. So I think even she acknowledges that, like, she crosses the line a little bit every once in a while, and she gets rowdy.
The lesson is don't be near Alicia around water.
Or in general.
Or that.
She seems like she's very, like, push people's buttons, but in the wrong way. And it's like, did you really, like Naomi said, or Trinity said, like, I get it, like, don't mistake, because I get this all the time, don't mistake her kindness for, like, vulnerability.
For weakness.
You know, for weaknesses. And it's just, like, what does that say about Foxy for her to do that? Like, just because she knows that maybe Trinity might not do something back? That's kind of...
That's why I'm saying don't push them to your limit. And there are people out there that are just nice all the time, and you don't want to take advantage of people like that.
Well, but you made a good point, though, George. Foxy wouldn't have done something like that to Paige, right? Or Tamina.
Oh, yeah.
That is Tamina Snuka that we saw on tonight's episode, everybody. She's a little bit more mature.
The one that came out with Paige at the end?
Yes, who came out with Paige at the end. And she is actually John Fatu's cousin.
Okay.
So, and she is part of the WWE as well, and now she is on Team Bad with Trinity. So she's family and coworker and fun, and I like to see her too because she's very real.
You know what I would have loved to see? The conversation between Fox and Naomi after that.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll get it. I'm sure we'll get it.
Explanation, like, hey, this was my intention. Hey, sorry, like an apology, or maybe even not an apology. At least a kind of conversation to see how that played out.
That's one of the reasons why I wasn't really a big fan of this episode, because they didn't follow that up with anything. It was just like,
it happened.
Her husband, John Fatu, or Uso, was like, well, you know, I get blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, I want to see the interaction or the confrontation between Naomi and Alicia Fox. That's what I want to see.
Yes.
I want to see Alicia Fox get her ass beat by Trinity.
Well, I'm sure that we'll get it. I'm sure they will hash it out next week, even though we didn't see that on the previews. I'm sure they would. And just one kind of final thought about this whole situation was that I thought it was really touching how John was trying to help Trinity. He really was, and he obviously is someone who has experience in this area, she explained. And, he's usually just such a cheeseball and making so many jokes, and I think this was a time where she really needed him, and he was being encouraging, and he was giving her great advice, and so I just always think they have such a cute relationship. And we also made the comment that we noticed after several seasons of them living in what we saw on the show, a very small apartment, they finally have moved on up, as
in a house?
TJ and Natty did as well. Yeah, into a very nice home. So I think maybe I just wondered about that for years. I was like, are they just too busy? They just have this place. Yeah. So now it looks like they finally got a new place. I wish we would have seen that on the show. But anyway, I digress. So we finally saw Foxy throw some stuff at her, and it got crazy.
I wish she was for more conflicting reasoning, because it was just like, I want to bring the bad out of her. No,
it's not like a legit reason. Like
to me that was like, what? That's why she threw the drink in her face. No, that was, to me, a little disappointing.
Yeah. You wanted it to be really juicy.
But did you see her get up from the table and go, what?
No, and here's another thing that made me mad. It's like, why was she getting kicked out of the restaurant?
Yes.
She got it thrown in her face, and now she was like, no, I need you to leave. And then you hear, Uso, you want to go to your husband, or you want to go? She's not going to get arrested for that, first of all. So her going to the cops isn't going to do anything.
It's Alicia who should have been kicked out.
Technically, I think this was probably the factor there in that she made a push or something.
I think she might have knocked over
She
a
probably
glass or
broke
something.
some glassware or something where they're like, okay, that costs us money. I think that's kind of the threshold at a restaurant where they're like, okay, now you need to go because you're breaking stuff. Right. So, but yeah, that was kind of shady.
You know what's funny? Actually, now that I think about it, because when she threw the drink, was it water or alcohol? Because alcohol will burn your eyes.
It was kind of orangey colored. It was hard to tell.
Okay, so
it looked like some kind of melted mixed cocktail.
I retract my statement. I have thrown a drink in someone's face at a party, and it was a guy because he was rude. He pushed me to my limit.
What do you do?
And a long story short,
You can make a long story longer.
so
We got time, girl.
So we were at a house party, and he was already hammered. And I go up to him, I was like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" But with his hand here, he just taps me on the face, kind of like a little bit of a slap. And I was like, well, he's drunk. I'm going to let that go. Well, he did it a few more times. And finally, I just had it up to here. And I got the drink. And I let him come over. And I was like, oh, can I taste that drink? And I went, poof. And the alcohol burned his eyes.
It went away.
And
Poof, it disappeared.
I was so mad. And the mom of the house, which I will never go and disrespect someone's house, was like, I will allow it because he had slapped her. Like a little. It was not, I was livid. And that was a legit excuse to throw a drink in someone's face.
Well, it sounds like you were a little empowered by that moment too, Paulina.
No, God. Well, I don't know. It wasn't right. It was not right. I'll just leave it at that.
But it
I'm
sounds
still
like
heated from it right now. And this happened like 4 years ago.
But you're relating to Trinity in that, like, she's saying it doesn't feel good to be the bad girl to her. Like, she doesn't like that
I wasn't
even
proud
after
of
she
that
freaked
moment
out
at
on
all.
Foxy, which she was justified in doing, she felt bad. She said, like, it does not feel good to act that way.
No, it doesn't. I didn't feel like I respected the house, the family that was there. I didn't want to do that to him, but he pushed me.
Yeah.
So don't take advantage of nice people, guys. It's not okay.
Especially because it's to the point where I think overall I'm a nice guy. Don't tell anybody, please. I got this image that I have.
Secrets out, Gina.
That I have no heart. But it's to the point where if you pissed me off, you must have done something wrong.
Right.
Because my threshold is so up there. Like, I got the patience up the yin-yang. So for you to piss me off, it's like, wow, what did you do to piss off George? But relating to the episode, I do see a lot of Trinity because especially in the first few episodes, you kind of see her as the voice of reason, as somebody who always happens to make sense in this reality show environment.
And calm things
so
down.
for her to be like that, I didn't lose respect for Alicia Fox, but it's kind of like, okay, we get it. You're trying to be like a brat, Maybe that's why you're single. Maybe that's why Brad broke up with you, to be honest with you. Okay? You ever think about that?
Well, you're just describing yourself, I think, as someone who would be a very good match for a girl who's maybe a little bit high maintenance and a little bit out there, seeing as how you have all this,
I am
you
not
have all
high
this
maintenance.
patience.
You sound so disappointed. I'm saving you money here. You should be happy.
I kind of feel like maintaining somebody, that's why.
Aww.
Oh, wow.
You're going to have 300 Twitter followers by the end of this episode.
I hope so. By the way, hashtag road to 300 followers. I think I'm at like at 252. Yeah! Our engineer is one of my followers, too.
People are on it. Yeah, I'm getting tweets about it. So, anyhow. All right, well, let's talk a little bit more about Daniel Bryan and Brie and Nikki and this whole situation. They're doing a cute little photo shoot. The star of the show, Miss Josie, arrives at the photo shoot, and everyone freaks out. We love Josie. We haven't seen a lot of Josie this season.
I think that they mentioned it early on, like when the Total Divas first started, but they moved to Arizona for that dog.
That's right.
Because I think, and especially I just got done reading Daniel Bryan's book, and he's literally lived everywhere, whether it's Santa Monica, California, whether it's England, Japan, Washington, of course, Las Vegas, Florida, and essentially he settled in Phoenix, Arizona because he needed a good babysitter because Brie and Nikki's mom lives in Arizona, which is why they moved there because they had somebody to take care of the dog.
Yeah, and now that you point all that out, it is very sweet, but it has me feeling kind of bad for like Mama Bella. When Brie and Bryan come home and they take the dog back, isn't she lonely?
They said that he was saying now it's equivalent to like she's like the grandmother, where like the dog knows that they're the parents, but Josie simply adores the grandmom. And by the way, it's very cute on how their first kiss happened too. I don't want to reveal it, but if you read Daniel Bryan's book, it's straight up from like a fairy tale.
Sweetie.
And
the viewers of Total Divas are not going to read Daniel Bryan's book, so why don't you just go ahead? Okay, we spoiler alerted. Anybody?
I'm not going to say it.
Go ahead and turn us down if you're going to read the book.
But I'm not going to read the book.
No,
so
tell us
tell me.
Fine, I'll tell you off the air.
Okay, he's going to tell me off the air, and I'm going to tell you next week.
Let's put it this way: whatever you think the fairy tale perfect first kiss is, That's what happened.
Oh, God. No, I don't even care.
There was rain involved. You know?
Oh, God. Oh, God.
I'll tell you guys next week when
Seamus
you
there
tell me.
shirtless, rubbing her head or
our
whatever. That
engineer
was a different
James
story.
wants to read the book. I know he's going to read the book, so I don't want to spoil it for him.
Is that really
You're
the
right.
big spoiler of the whole book, really?
No, I just think that it was kind of like when I read it, I'm like,
my
okay, that I don't even get sappy for that kind of stuff.
It sounds like you are.
But I
Sure
was
does.
like, okay, that's straight up from like a movie. Like that's straight up, like that's cool.
Maybe he's telling one of Natty's little white lies to embellish his book.
It's not my book.
Oh my
It's Daniel
God.
Bryan's book. When I do write a book, though.
No, maybe Daniel Bryan is embellishing it. Is there other juicy stuff like about their relationship or things that the Total Divas fans would be interested in the book?
I think it's just more. It's so cool how they kind of had a lot of stuff in common. How they both, and especially Brie, who's gorgeous. She was kind of shy too. Like she kind of developed feelings for him, and then they just both seemed. Brian just in general is a shy guy. You would never think that she would be across like that. But yeah, just how they met, just how they fell in love, just their journey together afterwards. It's just I thought it was pretty cool.
All right. Well, sounds mildly interesting. Maybe some of the fans will read it.
You're gonna read it. You're gonna read it.
Real quick. I proposed to my fiance wearing a Daniel Bryan yes shirt.
That's awesome.
Giving her a
Now
hint to say
that
yes.
is a good story.
That's awesome.
That
It's
was
a real
our
fairy
engineer,
tale.
people. He is a big WWE fan. Is your fiance a fan as well of WWE?
She is now.
Does she watch Total Divas?
No, she doesn't.
No. Well, you gotta tell her she's missing out. Anyway, well, this is where we get all the convo about the overreacting and the worrying and all of that, and they really break it down to Nikki and explain how it's working for them, how they're dealing with it. And I still don't. It just
You're
still
starting
wasn't
to
enough
worry
freaking
like
out for
Nikki.
me. I
So-
mean, come on, like the dude's career could very likely
Doesn't mean
be
that
over.
he can't go out and do other things.
Right, but he wants to be an in-the-ring wrestler.
It's not like he had gotten hurt before he was able to wrestle.
Right.
He's been wrestling for I don't know how long. A while. Right. He's made a career out of it. Just doesn't mean he can't report or be an announcer, do something else.
If you read his book, I feel like I'm plugging his book now, but and just because I'm going on top of what you guys are saying is that if you ever read his book, you will see that nothing else matters except when he's in that ring. Like
Yeah.
all that other stuff, all the drama. Obviously, he's married now, so he's got other priorities. But everything, he's generally a shy guy. He's not really good talker. But when he's in that ring, just nothing else matters. So in some ways, it's kind of like that's all he really knows. He doesn't know how to do anything else. He didn't go to college. I think he took a few classes, but that's where he's best at. So when you take away, you take Christy, you take whatever you're really, really good at, or you're best at. Paulina, you take the very, very best at, and suddenly, if you can't do that anymore, it's going to be like a big shock to you.
Right, and I feel like you struggle with it, but you find a way to move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It might be the end of your wrestling world, but not the end of the world, literally the world. Life, it moves on. You have to go on. And I have no doubt that he's not going to find anything else to do. I think he'll be just fine.
Well, I question too why they weren't more concerned about the financial future. And then she did explain that they've been saving and et cetera, and we've seen their house is fairly modest, and she did mention that in last episode as well. But he could make a lot of money yet if he could continue in the ring. And so I don't know. I mean, I guess that's more Nikki's thing, but I thought that would be one of my concerns as well. If I was Brie, that would be a cause for concern.
I think more
especially
so
when she wants to quit.
More so now, I think he has more room to be, financially stable. I think he'll be fine. I mean, they even said he'll be fine. I'm sure they'll be, considering that they're really, really trying to start a family. I mean, that just goes like, oh, well, they're good. I'm sure he might need to find a job, but just from what it looks like, there's always something for him to do. Whether it's tough enough for the book.
Things like he would still have earning power in the WWE for a foreseeable future.
Absolutely.
Even if he can't wrestle.
Even like, and it's funny because I was going to say maybe as a trainer, but even he said in his book, it's like he's not really good at that part of it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But even if, say, his career ended and Brie got pregnant and they had a baby, why not? He can stay home and take care of the kids while she's still wrestling. That's an option.
She has poo-pooed on that idea before, because I thought that would be great
She
too, but
said-
they've talked about that.
She
Well, if
said
worse
once
comes
she
to
gets
worse-
pregnant, that's it.
But if worse comes to worse, if that's the only option you've got, then you still need to make ends meet.
For sure.
But I do say this with all due respect to these beautiful women, is that the staying power of women in wrestling isn't really that great.
Right.
To be honest with you, and we all know that it's no secret.
It's similar to a modeling career or
exactly.
anything else that's physical and based on looks.
Exactly. So, again, not to say that she can't, but it's a lot more difficult for a mom to go back on the road than it is for a dad.
Right.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm confident that they'll figure it out.
For sure.
And speaking of mom, I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks this, but Nat calls her parents mommy and daddy, and it bugs me. It bugs me.
It's
and
so
to
weird.
each his own. I don't know. I call my parents mom and dad.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I mean, I went through a bratty phase as a teenager where I wanted to call them Julie and Jerry. But
when I get mad, I call them by their first name too. No, I don't know. To each his own, I guess. It's a pet peeve of mine.
It's weird, and her whole it sounds weird.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
Their family is very quirky. She's very quirky, and this is another.
I mean, the Hearts have always been a family just unlike any other family out there.
But can't we just talk about what her white lies that afterwards she just blurted out everything?
Yes, let's get to that, Paulina. You are fired up about it. Tell us why.
Don't lie. I mean, I've told
just
white.
That's all I'm saying. Just don't lie.
I've told white lies before, not like major life-changing lies.
Just
nothing like that.
ones.
Not find out. Yeah, like little teeny ones. Like when my friend, oh hey, where are you at? Well, I'm on the freeway getting off, and I'm still at home. Like little things like that. Like those are my white lies. But she lied about money. She lied about people living in their house. Oh, those are big. The whole lion, I said earlier, the whole lion face dropping thing, I would have kept that a secret. That's a white lie. That you keep to yourself. The engagement ring, too far.
Too far,
so,
for sure.
You're married, obviously. What's the biggest lie you've told your husband?
I was thinking about that as we were watching the show because I was trying to, and that's the line. That's kind of my thing.
Right.
I don't put up with that, and I just don't do it. I was raised in a household where my mother was very adamant that lying is kind of the worst thing you can do in the entire world, and I just have that conscience in my head all the time, and I can't physically even open my mouth and say something that's not true. It's kind of pathetic.
You've never even told a little white lie?
No, I don't even do that.
Really?
You know what it is? It's not even that it's not like a self-righteous I would never lie. It's that I worry about being caught in a lie, and I know what I think of people who lie. I think that's kind of one of the worst things you can do, and I think it says a lot about you as a person. So that's why I don't. I think it's because I'm just I don't want people to think that I'm a liar. Liars are terrible people.
So let me ask you, when you go shopping with your girlfriends and they try something on and they say, oh, how do I look in this? Do you lie, or do you tell them the truth? Or do you say, oh, you look great?
I think I can find something to say that's positive. No.
Okay,
I find something to say that's positive.
Real quick before I move on. Joseph Boza, I'm not wrong. I'm just saying it's more difficult for a new mom to go back on the road than it is for a new dad. That's what I meant. Just respond to something that's in the live chat. But here's my thing about lying is that I'm not saying I don't lie, but I'm saying you're going to fall in two categories. One, either I like you a lot, and I respect you, and I like you as a person.
You too, George.
So why would I? What does that say about me for me to not tell you the truth?
Right.
You know what I mean? What does that say? And two, either I don't like you at all, so why am I going to spend the time and come up with something for somebody I don't even care about? Now, there's a lot of people that fall in between, and so yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, like you said, white lies, little things like, oh, I'm 2 minutes away when I know I'm 3 minutes away. Little things like that. But at the same time, at least for me, I can never go back on I'm big on my word. So if I keep lying, then pretty much everything that I say from my mouth is going to be BS.
Right.
So I don't want that kind of reputation. I don't want to be able to say, well, George is probably BSing right now because he lies all the time. So I just don't want that kind of reputation.
Well, I like the point that you made about it's kind of disrespectful to the other person. It's almost sort of undermining their intelligence. And I kind of see that in this situation with Natty and TJ. She's like, oh, I just tell him this because it's easier than dealing with him or dealing with it or explaining it to him, or, she's just sort of like, oh, it's like he's a child and I just tell him what I want him to think right now to make it easy for me.
And he's not dumb. He's not an idiot. He knew. He called Art about the finances on the house. He figured it out about her sister Jenny coming to live 4 bags. I mean, come on. I would be mad if someone said someone's living in my house.
And let me tell you something about Natty too. And again, I love Natalya. I love her as a wrestler. But the fact that she was expecting the Bellas to take her side because they're friends, it's like now she's like she's expecting the Bellas to lie to her and say like, oh, you're supposed to take my side, so you want them to lie.
Which, by the way, yeah, exactly. And I totally was against Natty in that situation. Was like, well, they're my friends and they should do that. If they're your friends, they tell you the truth. And even if you're wrong.
That's right. That's true.
And
they had a good point.
TJ looked like a saint all of a sudden.
He really did. He didn't even have to do anything.
And then you started to feel sorry for him. Like all those things that he, made him maybe look bad a little bit in the previous episode. It's like, oh, it all makes sense now. Because Natty's a big liar.
No, you're right. That's true. That's true. The lion thing, did we think that was fishy when it happened at the beginning of the episode?
No, I legit thought that he dropped it on accident.
Yeah, I kind of did too. And then, when they went back, I was like, oh, that's why it was super smashed all over the place. Are your guys, is dad like that? Like, do you have that thing? Like, I feel like that's something me and my dad would do. I'd just be like, hey, Dad, can you just drop the lion and we'll just act like you just, and be like, yeah, I got you.
I don't even have to tell my dad. He would just do it.
Right?
Yeah. And to give you an idea, my dad is like George Lopez if you watch the show or if I've ever seen him. So he would do it on his own.
I love that.
Yeah.
I never watched George Lopez.
Oh, it's amazing. You should.
I don't think he's funny.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen him live. He's great.
Well, there will never be a George Lopez show after show because it's too late. The one kind of the biggest bombshell I thought out of Natty's whole confessions was this, no, not even the ring thing, the situation with the cats. Do you remember when we saw that all happen on the show? She was like, oh, they're going to get a big break and Cat Fancy wants my cats. And she wrote a fake cover letter and sent it to, she didn't just lie to TJ, she lied to the WWE, her employer.
And to go that far with a lie, now it's not even coming out of your mouth.
That's some psycho stuff, dude. That's crazy. Like, that takes crazy cat lady like a whole different level. Yes?
How long have they been married?
Well, they got married
years?
in the first season, right? So a couple
years.
years. Yeah.
I thought it was
That was
longer.
No, they've been together for like 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to
so
know.
I could not believe that, and I was also wondering what the WWE would think about that. And it also sort of indicated that whole thing was a fake storyline for the show, too. But it was Natty lying, and maybe she lied to the producers as well.
No one's going to believe anything she's saying now.
Ugh, too bad. Well, do you guys have anything that you would like to add about the episode in particular?
No, I think I got it all. The news and gossip, though, you guys have been tweeting and been pretty good about this. Can we get into
so
that?
let's roll on into...
No, don't hit the button. Don't hit the button.
Okay.
Good.
George has something to say.
Did anybody reply? I thought I saw some comments and tweets about you guys.
Yeah, that's where can we go to news and gossip?
No, it's not about the news gossip. Not yet. About you guys having a wrestling name.
So...
We both got into that. So I think, as far as nicknames go, they should be given to you. You can't make up your own.
That's true.
A nickname. Oh yeah. What?
I think people said nicknames for you though. I don't know.
Indie. I think someone had tweeted Indie on YouTube.
Okay, you know what, guys? We are sorry that we forgot to look right before we started the show. So we are going to go and check them out. And if you have wrestling names for Paulina, George, myself, or Kaori, please send them in and let us know what you think.
And we have until the end of the season of Total Divas to get them official.
Okay,
so I'm really
Paulina's
excited to see what
deadline.
you guys have in store for us.
I like it.
Now you guys can do whatever you guys want to do.
All right, now let's roll into some news and gossip.
AFTERBUZZ TV News.
Dun, 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 dun. Well, we talked last week about Miss Rosa Mendez, former Total Diva star, being pregnant. She has herself a little bun in the oven, and we now know who her co-baker of said bun was. Is that the way to put it? Baby daddy is a guy named Bobby Shubensky.
That was my kid. Whatever.
Sorry, George. Bobby is a big deal. He owns a lifestyle brand, and he has all sorts of cool pictures on social media wearing his hat. So he seems like really stand-up guy. Anyway, she's due in February, and it is going to be a little girl, which she has named Jordan Elizabeth. So congratulations to Rosa. And she kept saying, she said this several times, I thought this was so funny, that it was really hard for her to keep it quiet from her friends and family, and that she hated doing that.
Why did she, by the way? Do you have any idea why?
Well, there's a kind of a threshold where you wait until the 3-month mark to tell people and to get excited, because you can have a lot of complications beforehand, and that's usually when, if you're going to become unpregnant, it's within the first 3 months.
Okay.
Yes.
She's
telling everybody.
She's a what?
She's the last person I would have thought as far as the Total Divas who would have a baby.
For sure,
I thought
right?
it'd been at least like Trinity, one of the married divas.
Or not even, just based on how she was on previous seasons, she seemed like she wanted to have something stable first. Not to say that she's not, but just the way that she said, I want to make sure, I want to make sure I have a boyfriend before I even have sex with them, things like that.
She did say that, yeah.
So just like you would think that, okay, boyfriend and then maybe marriage and et cetera, but...
Yeah, well, no talk of any engagement or marriage yet, but we will certainly keep you posted. And we also have a little bit to talk about Eva Marie as well. We've kind of kept you guys updated on her wrestling career and where she's at with NXT. And for those of you who, I think we kind of schooled you guys last week on Lana. Now, supposedly Lana was supposed to get a big push with the WWE on TV and have a match, and it was going to be a big deal. And now that opportunity is actually being given to Miss Eva Marie. It is being reported that the higher ups at WWE want her to actually be a cornerstone of this Diva revolution, and it sounds like they're gearing up for her to be the champion, not just sometime, but sometime soon. They want to get her into the Divas revolution because they feel like it works for the storyline that she took all the criticism from the fans to heart, and now she really has worked hard and improved herself, and now she really wants to work hard to be the Divas champion. So we shall see how that plays out for her. Do you guys have anything that you'd like to add?
Well, they kind of showed a preview of next week's episode, and that was kind of, I think, Eva Marie's first appearance back into the mix when they showed her on NXT. And then I remember watching that specific. First off, I remember hearing about the tapings and them completely crapping on Eva Marie, and then actually watching it on NXT on WWE Network and be like, man, they are just tearing her a new one. And then of course watching her wrestle, I'm like, okay, she's not that bad. Like, she obviously improved. I mean, she's still got a long way to go, but so I kind of want to. I've been waiting to see that backstage reaction of her initial appearance from NXT, so we're going to see next week.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a good segue into predictions. Let's talk about predictions, people.
I like the way you said predictions.
Before we get into predictions, let's talk about Mazda.
Let's talk about Mazda. Oh no, I forgot to talk about Mazda sooner, which I was supposed to do because I love Mazda. And you guys know that all of our content at AfterBuzz TV is free for you. We love doing this for you, and we can do it thanks to our great sponsors. So now I have a question for you. Does driving matter to you? Driving with the windows down, the wind blowing through your hair, the smell of pine trees, and fresh asphalt. That's right. You look forward to these moments when it's just you and the road. No distractions, handling every curve and feeling every nuance in the road. So ask yourself, does driving matter to you? If it does, we build cars just for you, because to us, driving matters. Mazda. All right.
Beautifully done.
I was expecting a round of applause, but okay. And now,
I don't want to lie.
Thanks, Paulina. I actually do appreciate that. Now let's roll into some predictions.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well, I am very much looking forward to seeing this Eva Marie stuff go down too. We know that she gets a lot of heat from the fans, and she's basically, she is a heel in WWE. So I think we'll maybe see her dealing with some of kind of the same issues that Trinity was having this week. But, I don't know.
What else was in the previews today?
It was.
Brie and Nikki going to business together?
Yes, they want to open a cardio bar studio.
A cardio bar.
Good question, George. It's like a ballet bar, so like you picture ballerinas at the bar doing like their little, when they hold the bar. So there's a workout that people have created where you use the bar, and they've actually incorporated some cardio, and it is like ballet based. It's a very like pretty, fun, cute way to work. It's a very Bella's way to work out, guys. And it's kind of like a low impact thing, probably something where you don't have to worry about getting injured, which is major for them. So yeah, that's cardio bar. George, are you going to be trying it out tomorrow?
Most likely not.
If the Bellas open a studio?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes, that's right. I know. I can't wait to see that, because it looks like no sooner do they get the idea to go into business together that they start questioning it.
Yeah,
which isn't a surprise to me.
No, it's not, but they're sisters, and I think going into business with family is very difficult. You have to have a balance of that. I mean, I've never done that yet before, but I see a lot of clash and you got to be on the same page if you're going to do something like that, especially if it involves money.
Yes, that is so true.
But I would
so
totally
true.
go if they did it.
Well, we've had so many bizarre Bella Twins moments. I feel like they fight and they make up, and it's always so weird, and it kind of blows my mind because I just don't
They're
get
family.
right. But
They're
it's such a unique relationship that it's just something that I can't relate to.
Okay.
So I'm just always like, whoa.
Are you
with
an only
them.
child?
Yes.
That is why.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so I don't have any siblings, much less a twin, to sort of like relate to their.
you
I
have
mean, their
siblings?
relationship just seems so
I do.
weird
I
to me.
have 2 younger sisters, and we bicker all the time. But at the end of the day, they're my sisters.
Yeah. Do you guys? Would you say that you all have like kind of a Nikki and Brie type relationship? Are you very close? And
Well, me and my I'm very far apart with my sisters. My sisters are 2 years apart, and then I'm 4 and 6
Oh,
with
okay.
them. So they're really close. I'm waiting for them, the last one, to turn 21, and that's our bonding. Okay. No, but I mean, we're always there for each other. We bicker and we fight, but I mean, we're very supportive of each other and what we do. So I think that helps us a lot too.
well, we'll be looking forward to your sisterly thoughts about next week's episode.
All right,
and Paulina, if the folks want to tweet you their thoughts about
Yes.
Total Divas, where would they be doing that at?
You guys can find me on Twitter at _ Paulina Aguilar and on Instagram at Paulina M Aguilar.
Yeah.
So back to the Daniel Bryan book. No, I'm just kidding. You can find me, #road to 300 followers, at G Hermoza. If you don't know how to spell it, it's GHERMOZA.
I'm gonna start doing that too. I need some followers.
And, well, because you never know. On iTunes, they can't really hear
Actually,
it.
now that we're in a relationship, what's yours is mine now, right? So
So does that mean we have... how many
So those will be
followers you have?
Paulina's 300
I have like
followers.
160, 150.
I don't know.
Road to
I don't
500.
qualify.
Well, you guys can all hit me up at Christy Reports on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere, and there are some brand new juicy celebrity exclusives at ChristyReports.com just for you. I'm at almost 1 million hits on YouTube. So if you guys could just go and watch my YouTube videos, I would just really appreciate it.
Congrats.
So, and thank you for watching the AfterBuzz TV Total Divas After Show. For Paulina, George, Corey, and myself, thank you for joining us. We will see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.